Hey guys, it's Chris Mitchell with CMG Guitars and Devilcat Amps, and today I'm going to talk about the Francine. Some of you guys have written me, and I actually thought I already did this, but some of you guys have written me and said, hey, can you show what a Francine sounds like on the humbucker setting? And I thought that I already put the single coils out there, and I apologize I didn't do that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to show you what the Francine sounds like with humbuckers. I've said this before, but the Francine has a really cool swampy sound. And for our 30-watt amps, you wouldn't think that it could get as bassy and as crunchy as it does. And I'm showing you this example with our smallest cabinet that we make. This is the 112 Mini, and this is obviously propped up, so you're even going to get less bass response than you normally would, which is why you see that I have the a bass turn there. This bass control has a bass depth, so it controls a completely sweeping EQ as you turn it up. It's really a cool thing. And so if you mount your amp on the ground, you get a lot of bass. You can back off. If you mount it up, you can turn it up. You can really EQ it for the room however you want. But enough of me talking. I've had some requests to go ahead and play, so let's do that. On the bridge pickup, I'm going to go ahead and turn it. Fat sound, man. It really is a fat sound. So chunky. All right, so let's go ahead and do some audio takes of the overdrive in this. Let's see. I'm going to let that just ring for a little bit and tell you that I do have the reverb on. I want you to hear what the amp sounds like with reverb. I'm off axis right now, and it is just so nice and rich. I've got one mic, as you can see, placed close up, getting the just speaker off axis, and one Audio-Technica 3060, which is right over there. This is an Apex 500 series, and that's an Audio-Technica 3060. You can't see it, but it's right there. And so what I'm doing is I've actually got this panned left and right so that you don't get the out of phase sound. I've got two mics in the room, one close and one far away. I don't want you to get that. If I pan it in the center, if I put it straight in the center, I think you would hear a weird out of phase sound because of the distance. So you put it left and right, and your ears automatically kind of correct that. But that's one sound of the overdrive. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I mean, that drop D obviously, so let's go ahead and get that swampy sound in there. That's just a nice. And I'm playing, little throw out to Georgia there. I'm actually playing, these are the PAF 36 anniversaries. I'm actually considering in this one later on. I've played this guitar in several videos, but I'm considering putting the pearly gates in here. I had a customer come in the shop the other day, about a couple weeks ago, and they had the pearly gates in this, and we have put pearly gates in our guitars before, but I kind of overlooked it a little bit, just because when you're busy making them and you're putting them out, you don't always have the time to test them like you want. So I put some good time on this pearly gates with a few of our amps, and man, I got to tell you, I know why Seymour calls them pearly gates, because that's the sound you're going to hear when you get there. So this is let me play with this a little bit, just that nice. And so these aren't, really high gain pickups. They're really not. They're the PAF, so they're obviously the patent applied for style. These are the DiMarzio 36, and so they're not considered high gain. They're just considered classic rock. So that's kind of what I'm getting out of this. Now, what's cool about the Francine is You see where I've got the treble right there. Again, you notice that it says bass depth and treble contour. On both of those settings, you've got these interesting sweeps. So you've got really a multi-band EQ built into 3. So it's like a 5-band EQ built into 3 EQ settings. And watch how that, I'm going to take that, that's at 1 o'clock roughly, and like watch this setting right here. Now watch this, I'm going to put it just a little bit further. Huge change. And that's really important actually, because what you want out of an amp is you want to be able to dial in your tone really quick. You don't want to sit there and play with a lot of, you know, bells and whistles and knobs and all that kind of stuff and really figure out how to do it. And so what the Francine does is it really allows you to get a huge versatile tone out of a 30-watt amp that is Class A. And then, of course, you know, I've got the boost setting too, and I'm going to show you. I think I would clip if I played the boost in Overdrive, so let's do it anyway. So let's show you that kind of volume. Oh yeah, I think that clip. That's okay. That's okay. All right. So anyway, it's a really, you know, I can't brag on really. We got a lot of things really, really right with this amp. And I think I told you guys earlier on, I had a kid in the shop that came in when we were making this amp, the prototype, and he came in. It's about a 15-year-old kid. He came in and he was wailing away, and I was, you know, doing some stuff at the front, and I looked, and this kid was just getting these wonderful, just these nice crunchy tones, and he wasn't playing through a single 12. He was playing through the Francine prototype. At that time, I think it was through our 212 cabinet, and it was just amazing. I was like, "Kid, what are you playing over there? You playing?" I thought he was playing our Jimmy, and he wasn't. He was playing the Francine prototype, and it was kind of funny when he had it. There were no settings on it whatsoever. So this kid was brave. He just kind of plugged the guitar and it went to it, you know. And I mean, it didn't have any markings. If I were 15, I wouldn't have stuck anything into that because it looked like a science experiment at the time. And you know, and actually the settings that he had were interesting. He went ahead and did a bass. He did a mid sweep like we all do when we're younger. And a lot of times when you do a mid sweep, you get an unusable. You basically get washed out in the mix. A lot of times if you do that, you know, I did that when I was younger. But the cool thing is this kid did it. And I started noticing it. Now I started adding a little bit of treble to it, and then really started playing with how he did the the mid sweep, because it's not the way I would have set up the amp by default. You know, I come in as, you know, we all come in with guitar players with our own styles and preferences, and so it's just not what I would have done. But you know, he did it, and it sounded amazing, and so it made me look at this amp a little different. I went back to the factory that day and I said, "Hey, Lane, check out what this thing can do on this setting," and it was really cool. So the Francine, I've said this before, that grungy sound, the classic rock sound. If I backed off the gain a little bit, you know, and I just wanted that classic kind of, you know. And if I even want to add a little more treble. It does it. It delivers. You know, so it can do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and tune up a little bit. Let me go ahead and grab that E. Close. Let's see. That's pretty close. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and if I have that gain setting on that, I'm going to pull the dirt down. Probably let's take it to 1 o'clock. And I'm going to keep the mid sweep just for right now, because I've had another request for what does it do in the way of kind of classic rock. So if I'm like, it is just, man, it is that sound. A guy wrote me yesterday and was asking about the differences of, you know, like British sounds versus American sounds. You know, we as amp builders, or not as amp builders, but as the general guitar public, we like to talk about tubes and, you know, EL34 versus 6L6, and people want to connotate that to the European versus, or the British versus the American sound. while there is some truth to that, and I'm certainly not trying to cause a ruckus in the guitar world, just remember that the design that you do on the amplifier circuit makes a huge difference. For example, we can put different tubes in this amp, and that's not the problem. But the design still remains the same, and that has a lot to do with the sound. So there's a little bit of myth out there about, oh, you put these tubes, you're going to sound like a Marshall. You put these tubes, you're going to sound like a Mesa or a Fender. You put these tubes, it's going to sound like a Vox. And that's just not true. It's just not. You know, we've got 8 different amp models now, and we have designed a lot of prototypes and a lot of boards. And, you know, Lane is, he can design a circuit to get, you know, whatever sound you want. And that's usually what we do with an amp like this. You know that you guys know I'm not a one-trick pony kind of guy. I don't want an amp with a one-trick pony. This particular amp, for example, you've got the dirt channel. It's got an amazing clean. I'm in E now, that's right. So you've got this wonderful, luscious, clean sound. If I'm... You got these great cleans, you know, I could really... Yeah. And I can, you know, get it. It's bigger, obviously, on the neck pickup. And just these great clean sounds, you know. But the amp, as you just heard, also has amazing overdrive sounds. I mean, that's our big thing. I really don't want you to buy an amp from us and then you go, oh man, I love the clean, but the overdrive is garbage. Or, oh man, I love the overdrive, but the clean's eh. You know, I don't want you to be like that. I really want you to be like me when I take an amp out to a club. You know, I'm playing, but that amp's got to do everything I ask it to do that night. And that is our big rule at Devilcat. You know, your amp has to get you through any type of gig you want to put it in. Now, and we have obviously certain models that probably are a little more conducive for certain styles than others. What's interesting about the Francine is that, you know, we had some unintentional expectations with it. I'll talk about a Packer video soon that one of the expectations of the Packer was, you know, we built it as straight up a classic 30-watt Class A amp that gets a nice distortion. The highest gain level it gets is, you know, you're probably going to play some GNR and stuff like that with it if you're, or some Santana stuff. You can get into that zone, you know, but it's not going to do the heavy punch. It's not going to do like our Jimmy or our Missy, not at all. That's not what it's designed to do. But one of the weird side effects we had with the Packer was that when we built it, love Randy Rhodes. Randy Woods called, and for those of you who don't know Randy, he was one of the original owners of Green Guitar back when it was called GTR in the 70s. And Randy calls me one day to his shop in Pooler. Randy's an amazing builder, and he says, "Chris, I want to get one of your Devilcats." So we bring it down there, and we put it through the paces. I show him everything that it does, and he goes, "Oh man, that sounds great." And then I think Robert or Randy asked me, he said, "Hey man, how does it sound like with acoustic?" And I went, I don't know. You know, we never tested it with acoustic. We never thought to. Well, I plugged an acoustic electric that he had in stock. I don't remember what it was exactly, but plugged it in, and it sounded amazing with an acoustic. There are amps that we make that I wouldn't recommend that, you know, but that particular one, if you wanted an amp, that amp, for example, sounds amazing with a harmonica, sounds amazing with an acoustic, and it sounds amazing with an electric. So that amp is versatile in its own little package. You know, that's not why we call it the Packer. As you guys know, it's named after my dog. And this Francine is named after Lane's wife. And, you know, we're very passionate about those things. We don't want to name something and then just, you know, have it just random. It's very passionate about what we build. So this one, again, just a Francine recap with the humbuckers. If I've got on the neck, you know... sorry, I'm not in D anymore. Here's the bridge. I need some hotter bridge pickup. I need to raise that bridge pickup. That's what I need to do. I think it's too low. When you got your clean. It just sounds great, man. It really does. And then, of course, the middle pickup position. I gotta be honest with you. I never use that position. I'm just not the kind of guitar player that I dig on my bridge and my neck. That's just me. You've noticed the simplicity of our design with one volume, one tone. That's kind of where that comes from. Obviously, I don't spend a whole lot of time in the middle section, and so I don't really need to blend. And then, you know. I am out of shape today, man. I think that quarantine has got to me, man. I tell you, I hope everybody's safe out there. I do want to say that. I know that you guys have been, everybody like me, you haven't been able to play gigs, and it's been kind of crazy. You know, I know I think it's the first time I haven't played a gig in months since I was like 15 years old. So it's pretty crazy. But anyway, so again, to recap, you've got the classic dirt with the Francine. This. You've got that kind of sound. It'll probably dig you a little bit into, like, if you wanted to go a little bit of other areas, you know, you could probably do, let's see, if I did that in, I might add a little more mids to this for this. Yeah, it's got there. I might turn up the gain a little bit for that. Let's see if I did, try that. Oh, I'm on the treble pretty good bit. Let's see. That's another thing interesting about this amp too. When you hear you can hear that F sharp, that high F sharp on the bottom string. And that's when you play with an amp that just is oversaturated gain, you're just not going to get that. It's just going to be nothing but fuzz. And that's one of the things that the hallmarks, I think, of our amps. You want the gain, but you really want those notes to chime out, because those are the colors of your chord. That's what's, when you're playing in a band and you're in a group. If you get nothing but this, when you strum a chord like that, you know, you want that open chord. You want to hear every note in there, even if it's a bar chord, because that way you've got all that nice, you know, layer of saturation within the ensemble, and you can be heard. That's a really important thing, and we do consciously think of that when we build our amps. And again, this is our dirt circuit, not the overdrive circuit. So everything you're hearing is straight from the dirt, because this amp is basically a dirt circuit, the clean and the volume boost. And then, of course, you've got your bass depth and your treble contour. And remind you, that volume boost on the back of the amp is it's attenuatable. You can actually turn that up, or you can turn that down. So if I want the volume boost here, if I'm going, I've got a lot of volume boost. If I want to back that down a little bit, I just turn back. Here's without the volume boost. This is when I've turned it down. And I'm not clipping on my system. I've got my I've actually got my, I'm looking at my recording system over there, and it's not clipping on that. So I can also look and I say, okay, well, let me dial it up just a little bit more and see. I'm going to go, this is at 12 o'clock right now. Here's with the boost. Man, that actually, and what's cool about the boost too is it does kind of, I'm not going to say that it's saturated, but it drives more. You know, you're pushing those tubes harder. So you get that combination of the dirt mixed in with those power tubes, just pushing them. So you can get a heavier saturation with that. I mean, it really does. You know, it's kind of that nice. Yeah, that's just a great sound. And again, let's see, what if let's see, let me back that down one more time. I'll let you hear the boost in with the drop D. So if I'm doing that, Yeah, that is that's a monster sound coming from a teeny tiny little speaker here. I mean, all of that is just this little setup right here. And honestly, you got to remember, I have got the volume, the master volume, way down. You see the dirt volume is up, but that is only for that channel. That has nothing to do with actual the power of the amp. So I've got this way down. When you hear this amp, and I did it the first time with our 112H, which is our horizontal amp. It's, in other words, we call it H because it's wider horizontally than it is tall. And it's got the open port at the top. That amp, when you hear this head through it, and it's hard to convey that in a recording, but because of that port, it will fill a space. Because it essentially acts as like two 12s, because you've got the single 12 there, but then all of the negative space comes right back through the amp, and it sends it back through the top, and it's just an amazing sound. It really is. So anyway, so that's the Francine today with a humbucker. I hope that you guys get a better idea of like what it sounds like with a humbucker. I've got to kind of be careful about some of the songs I play because I don't want to copyright laws here. But anyway, again, this is Chris Mitchell again with CMG Guitars and Devilcat Amps, and I hope you guys are being safe through the quarantine, and I hope you enjoy.